Now, those seeking to register as VAT vendors would now be subjected to stricter conditions. It follows the South African Revenue Services observing what it calls suspicious activity. In April, SARS said it saw a spike in that prompted them to urgently review its registration process. The Revenue Service believes that many of the registered are now being conducted with the intent of committing fraud. To tell us more about it, the head of tax controversy and dispute resolution at Tax Consulting South Africa, André Daniels. Very good morning and welcome.
Good morning and thank you, and good morning to yourself and your listeners.
Maybe for those that don't fully understand all of this, to start off with, what is a VAT vendor, and if you so register, what is it that what role do you play in being a VAT vendor?
Okay, so a VAT vendor is a person that has registered for VAT and has to charge the requisite VAT rate, being 15% on VATable supplies. Now, if I can just break that down briefly, a person is defined as a natural person, and this can also be an entity, a private limited company, a limited company, and so on and so forth, as well as municipalities, trusts. And in terms of VATable supplies, where this exceeds 1 million rand in any 12-month period, the taxpayer, or rather the vendor, must register for VAT, and that's known as compulsory registration. Where a vendor exceeds 50,000 rand, this is known as compulsory registration for purposes of that.
Okay, and if I'm charging somebody VAT, which is the 15%, I have to pay that over to the Revenue Services, and in the process, sometimes I can can lodge a claim for some sort of VAT returns if I'm making that payment. But the thinking here is I charge VAT and I have to repay that VAT to the Revenue Service, and is the assumption here by the Revenue Service that those that are now seeking to register as VAT vendors are going to be charging VAT, not declaring it and not paying it to the Revenue Service. Is that the concern?
Okay, so in terms of registering for VAT, there's two different types of VAT. There's output tax, which is the amount that you charge on invoices going out, and then there's input tax, which is the amount on invoices that you receive. And in that respect, there's a calculation done where there's sort of, in a nutshell, output tax minus input tax will then give you your VAT payable or refundable under the Act. So what SARS is saying is, according to their AI and their system, they've picked up an unusually high number of VAT registrations, which they think is not legitimate VAT registration, sort of owing to their administration platform and to provide the ease of registration. However, this must be balanced with the risk of abuse and attempts by individuals to obtain VAT numbers and to claim fraudulent refunds. So again, this is where some taxpayers would register for VAT, would be charging for VAT, and either, as you mentioned, would not be paying the VAT over to SARS, not declaring the VAT, or would be raising fictitious invoices to claim the 15% back from SARS.
Yeah. Okay, and when SARS is now talking about new rules, in the registration of those VAT vendors, what do you know? Have they indicated what that would be and how different it would be?
Okay, so SARS have given us a small indication that all new applications for VAT registrations are being subjected to a more stringent registration process. According to the press release yesterday afternoon, this may include, requiring the applicant or the registered representative themselves in person to appear in the branch closest to where the business enterprise is located for validation and accreditation. Where applicants are expected to visit a branch, they must be pre-booked and make an appointment, and all supporting documentation that is required for registration must be submitted at the branch on the day of the appointment, and VAT registration will only be effected where SARS has satisfied itself that the application is lawful. For the most part, we at Tax Consulting are thinking that the more stringent requirements are a good thing, as this will, sort of do away with the people that are illegally claiming VAT and trying to illegally claim money from the fiscus and to get VAT refunds in that manner. However, there is a more stringent process is not always a bad thing in terms of the law and in terms of the management of the tax system as a whole in our country.
All right, and those that are existing VAT vendors, how does it impact them at all? Because I'm certain it's par for the cause that the Revenue Service would be looking and doing random audits to determine whether they are receiving the requisite VAT that was paid.
Correct. So we have seen an uptick in the amount of verifications and audits monthly and bi-monthly on VAT vendors. And, just in terms of the Tax Administration Act, SARS are entitled to conduct verifications and audits where they deem necessary. There's many a time where SARS will ask for verification, the taxpayer provides the information, the verification goes through and the taxpayer receives their refund. Obviously, it's not always that simple, but there are steps available to taxpayers to take that process up with SARS, where SARS take longer than the 21 requisite business days, where the VAT claim is incorrectly disallowed. There are those dispute resolution steps in the Tax Administration Act.
All right, thank you very much, André Daniels. André is the head of tax controversy and dispute resolution at Tax Consulting South Africa.